This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and LifeLock has tips to protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report phishing, and update the software on your devices. And for comprehensive identity protection, let LifeLock alert you to suspicious uses of your personal information. LifeLock also fixes identity theft, guaranteed or your money back. Stay smart, safe, and protected with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Reality radio for a really great future. We're talking real money.
And now for something completely different, a show with no topics. Hello, welcome to the Talking Real Money podcast, which usually begins with a topic. We have a topic of the day. Today, no topic, because, oh my gosh, thank you so much, all of you, for all of your lovely questions. We cannot begin to express our appreciation for your incredible responses to our entreaties for cues for us to A. Hi, everybody, I'm Don McDonald, and I don't have a bad British accent. No, indeed not. And over there, in the Bellevuvian studio. Bellevuvian? Is it Bellovian? What? Belvunian?
I don't think you can add anything to Bellevue, but go right ahead.
Belvedite?
Yes, Belvedite.
The Belvedicious Tom Cock is in the other place that we have there in Washington while I hang out and still sweat mercilessly in Florida, even though for most of you, it's already fall.
Yeah, it is.
Not for us. We have two seasons. We have summer and sprawl, which is spring and fall kind of crammed together. We don't have winter. Maybe we have sprinter or flinter, but we don't really have winter. Why did I go off on that
One
tangent?
thing we do have is a lot of questions.
We have questions.
Yes.
We have questions.
We do, which is
and
nice.
We have them both. We have two-way questions now. We have the written ones that you send in at talkingrealmoney.com on the contact form, which Tom is in charge of. And then we have the spoken version, which for the first time in a major podcast episode are going to be answered outside of Friday. No, maybe it's the second time. I think I did it one other time. So here we go with your important questions. Tom is going to kick it off with one of those that were typed.
Yes, from Angie in St. Paul, Minnesota. She writes, "Hello again. You answered two previous questions. Thank you. So here's another. I've not
Wait. We have a two-question limit, don't we?
Oh, okay. Sorry, Angie.
All right. We'll make an exception for Angie.
We'll make an
I'm sure she's a nice person.
Okay. I have an elderly relative that owns a lot of land in another state. I don't know exactly how much, but I think it's in the several thousand acres range. It's mostly farmland, and he currently uses it primarily for occasional hunting in the fall. Some of it's leased to others to farm, but I'm not entirely sure of those details. In any case, he does not make a lot of income off it. Really, if it's just used for hunting, I might imagine.
That surprises me.
He tells me he's always just like owning land, something you can go stand on and touch, which requires you to bend over, I believe, too, by the way. There's a good chance I will inherit this land. My question is, if and when that happens, what do I do with it? Is this a good investment to hold on to, or should I look into selling? Guessing there are lots of it depends with his questions, but do you have general thoughts, guidelines, things to consider? I have no interest in hunting, building a home, or using land in any way.
No, there are no caveats, no what ifs, no it depenses on this question. No, this is easy. For some reason, older generations, particularly first or second generation immigrants from the old country where owning land was very difficult, they love land. Just love it. Even though the only land that's worth having is either land that you actively farm, which is a tough row to hoe, so to speak, or land that's in the path of development. where you're a land speculator. Really, that's what you are.
You need to get a freeway developed nearby is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Push for a freeway or a toll road close by so it can be turned into residential housing, and then maybe it'll be a good investment long-term for you. Otherwise, if it's a piece of land out in the middle of nowhere that maybe are, some cattle graze on, it's a terrible investment, generally speaking.
There's
a caveat?
There is a caveat because there's a guy named Bill Gates who's been buying up all kinds of land all over the place. And Elon Musk is buying all kinds of land in Texas.
That doesn't make them smart.
No, it does not make them smart. They're wealthy. So then you think, well, they're wealthy. They must know what they're doing, right? No. So I got to do that. Oh, okay. Pardon me. I'm kidding.
No. I mean, for example, the guys, the multi-millionaire billionaires who are buying big ranches in Montana, unless they plan to turn it into a ski resort, they're not going to make money running cattle on it.
They could get Kevin Costner to do another TV show there, though. That might work. So, no, all kidding aside, yes, Don is correct. Unless you've decided to become a farmer, a rancher, or a hunting lodge operator, I don't think this is a good investment. Plus, when the person passes on, you get these step up in basis. So the taxation would be pretty light then, too. You just sell it for sometime soon after they pass, take the money and invest it and make it liquid and do the things you want to do with it. So I think that's a fair answer, yes.
Yeah, because my guess is he paid very little for it decades ago, and so there will be a gain because land values have increased just due to inflation.
Sure. Yeah.
But for a long-term investment, not anywhere near. It doesn't even approach my list. I wouldn't even have it on the list.
No, I think that's fair. And again, unless you want to be in the business of one of those things, I would sell it, take my money. Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to do a recorded question for the first time on the regular podcast. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Hi, this is Anton from Spokane, Washington. What I haven't heard you talk about is the effect of Medflation on the COLAs that are coming into place for Social Security, even without taking into account IRMA. The number I've heard bandied about is about 2.7% increase in Social Security. However, there will be a $21 deduction for the Medicare B premium. So in our case, that would the total gross increase would be about $92, $93. And of that, we would end up having 42 deducted. So that leaves out 50. In our case, that means that our real increase will be about 1.5%. And it seems to me that out in the rest of the non-retired world, that's going to hit much harder with the ACA subsidies going away and double-digit premium increases going in across the board through much of the medical field. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Thanks. Bye.
It's bad. It's bad. I mean, here's the thing. Okay, stepping back just a little bit, that's a really good point, by the way, that when we say Social Security is increasing by 2.6%, I don't forget the fact that Medicare goes up too, but I don't run that as part of the number. That's fair. When we run plans, we run inflation in a general, like just inflation at about 3%, because that's what it's been for 100 years. We run the medical part, I think it's 7%, because that's what it's been for last
medical
30
inflation
years.
has outpaced the regular inflation rate.
So you're absolutely, it's horrible. And if you're working, as you just said, on a fixed income where you think you're going to get an increase that's going to keep up with the rising price of bread, I guess maybe eggs, no, it won't, because the offset will be horrible with that medical part. By the way, you mentioned something and you didn't give it the attention it deserves. My premiums next year are going up like 13% for the medical part. It's crazy how much it's going up.
And that's our work subsidized plan.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. So you're right, but we're all paying that. Do I like that? No. Should you plan for probably, as you said, considering that against the Social Security increase? Absolutely, 100%. And when you run a plan, if you're doing this on your own, I would continue to run that medical inflation at somewhere like 7%, because it's certainly been there.
And buried just below the surface is that zombie that haunts all of these questions, the political environment. This is a very political politicizable question. And the fact of the matter is that apparently no one wants to do much of anything about it on either side of the political aisle. And something apparently needs to be done, but I don't know what that answer is. I mean, you can look at countries like Canada and Great Britain and see that their system doesn't work very well either. So I don't know what the solution is, but we need to work a lot harder on trying to find it, or we're not going to be able to afford medical care.
Yeah. I mean, the only
kind
things
we want
that I know, because my father, who's been gone for 20 years, used to say 30 years ago, people that need help aren't getting it in proper way. In other words, they're going to the emergency room for wrong ways. The insurance companies are fiddling around with stuff. So that's the only things he ever said, and he would know that far better than I would. But I don't know. Well,
and it's gotten worse since he was practicing. A lot
definitely.
Worse.
Yeah, well, I think you're right.
Send your questions to us online at talkingrealmoney.com. You can either speak them like that one was, or you can type them like the next one is, or you can also call us every Saturday, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, noon to 2 Pacific, when we do a show in Seattle. And that number is 855-935-TALK. That's 8255 there at the end, 855-935-8255. Now, Tom has the next written question because he does not let anyone else touch his paper questions.
Exactly. You know how much I love
the paper.
Jason from Tigard, Oregon writes us, I've been accumulating money in my Fidelity brokerage account in SPAXX, SPAXX, with yields of close to 4%. I was looking at the ETF SGOV. Would SGOV be a better and more tax-efficient fund to hold this money, or at least a portion, since it's not subject to state taxes? So in Oregon...
Well, the SPAXX is the Fidelity government money market.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
I don't know that the tax... because in Oregon you have a state income tax, but how would that differ between SPAXX and SGOV? I don't believe it would. I think that whatever interest you got there is still going to be taxable.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't, because it would have to be, for it to be non-taxable, it would have to be Oregon municipal bond interest.
Correct, which you could consider. Those funds exist, of course.
No, I wouldn't. They're
but if you really got to save your 40 cents on your Oregon, because it can't be that much anyway,
it's not
right?
that much. It's not even worth thinking about.
Unless
it's
you're
not
talking
worth thinking about
millions.
And the difference between these two funds really comes down to the tiny additional volatility that the short government bond fund would have, where a money market should have no volatility.
Never
its
break
price
the buck.
Should never change. Should. Can't guarantee it, but it
did happen, in 08, right? We broke the buck on something. It happened
to one fund.
Yeah,
one money market fund.
So, either of these funds
on
would be
the
fine.
government? Just I want to look at it.
The SGOV. That's a pretty popular fund that Schwab operates.
Yeah. No, SGOV is iShares.
Oh, pardon me. I don't know
iShares. I just want to look at its price performance, because I want to see. I haven't looked at how much it fluctuates.
Whereas the muni market, SPAXX, does not.
That's actually pretty interesting. In 2021, you would have made absolutely, even though the interest rate wasn't terrible, you would have made $0 on this fund because of the fluctuation in net asset value. So you could have
2022.
You could have a money losing year. 2022, it made 1.5%.
Okay. And what's the yield on it now? You said 4 or something. So
the yield on it now.
No, that was the SPAXX, SGOV.
Yeah, this one has a yield of, where is the yield? Golly, morning. Did you guys move the yield, Morningstar? For some reason, I can't find the yield.
Okay. Well, it's probably a similar number, because it's both
going to be right
paper.
Around 4. Yeah.
Which is still what people are paying. So, great question, Jason, and hang in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the question. Now we've got another one that was sent in to us at the same place, the TalkingRealMoney.com contact form, but it was recorded.
Hey, Tom and Don. I met with my Ameriprise advisor to do a mid-year review. I'm 64, retired, and not collecting Social Security yet. I have an account about $2.3 million in an IRA, and of that, $800K is an annuity, in which I'm getting 5.1% interest for 7 years. probably was not the greatest idea, but wanted to make sure my pension money was being secure, and I am collecting interest off that. With my other investments, I net out about $3.1 million with a high yield savings account and a small Schwab account. I was questioning my advisor at the last meeting that we had. She said after things settle out, we should look at SMAs. I'm totally not familiar with these, and it's just another way to accumulate fees for them. I mean, I think that I'm paying them to be my advisor, and then they want to shift it to somebody else. So I'm totally unfamiliar and unsure what to do. I would appreciate your help.
Yeah, that separately managed accounts, SMA.
Yeah, explain what those are for those.
Well, okay,
who are...
first of all, it wouldn't have anything to do, because I think he said most of the money's in an IRA. You wouldn't do, SMA would have nothing to do with an IRA. And a separately managed account is a portfolio designed for tax treatment, right, to save on taxes. So you own individual equities in there. You're buying and selling things depending on the market, and you're booking tax losses. It's a complex matter to, as I say, sort of save you from long-term tax bill. And it's 5 or 6 years ago, it was like the hottest thing under the sun. I mean, as everybody's doing it, now I hear less about it today, because what happens in some ways is you end up booking all those losses, and then it doesn't work. So at the end, you've whittled down the portfolio. It gets tricky to operate. And part two is, you really have to have a pretty significant portfolio to do that. I don't know that you have that enough. No offense, you've got a good portfolio.
It's a good portfolio. You're doing very well.
Yeah, but you have to. I would say probably in the millions and plus.
And here's where I have all kinds of issues. Well, one, I have issues with Ameriprise.
I wasn't even going to go there, but I'm
going to absolutely go there, because Ameriprise is not a 100% fiduciary at all times firm. They aren't. They can't claim it because it's not true. So they don't always have to act as a fiduciary. And the other part of the equation is their fees. Now, we don't know exactly what you're going to pay, less than what their maximum stated fee is. I don't know what you're paying for the advice, but my guess is that even as big as your account is, you're north of 1%.
They
probably
can charge up to 2, right? I mean,
they can charge up to 2. Yeah. So my guess is you're probably right around 1. Let's use that as a nice round number. Now, Ameriprise says that their separately managed account fees, depending on the size of the account, and you're not, by the way, probably in the biggest category, run from 0.1% to 0.8% per year. So that probably puts you in the 1.5 plus fee range would be. Again, that is my guess without knowing the particulars, because we don't know what their breakdown is. So it isn't cheap. They sold you an annuity.
In his IRA.
Which is really awful.
Yes, that is truly egregious.
It's bad enough for most people, but they did it to make a big commission, which again points to the fact that they do not always have to act in your best interests. So my guess is, I'm going to read between the lines, she's a very nice person.
Really?
She's a lovely human being.
Shocking.
She's so good to you, and she treats you like part of the family.
You betcha.
And to break up with her would be a difficult thing to do. This is not a love relationship, so there should be no angst associated with breaking up with somebody who provides you with a business service. You should break up with her ASAP.
Yeah. And you don't, reasonable? I doubt, I'd have to look at your tax situation, but I'd be surprised if you need a separately managed account. I'd be surprised. It feels like to me where the advisor goes, look at this, we can really offer you something cool here.
Exactly. It's like the cool new gadget.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which I'm glad to hear it's finally getting to Ameriprise. Sorry, but because it's been around for a long time.
No, I'm sure they've had it for a little while. Now, you have another one, don't you?
This is our last question, ladies and gentlemen. So try not to get too excited. From Evans, Georgia, Luke writes, hey, guys. Truly enjoy the podcast. My question is in regards to turnover percentages. Now, How are the Broncos doing in turnovers this year? I haven't really looked. The Raiders have been better than they were previously.
I don't know. I don't look at the
Well, he wants to talk about turnover percentages, so.
I don't think we're talking about the NFL, but I don't know.
I do see reading on here. Okay, he says DFSV, which I believe is a dimensional fund of some kind, and AVUV, which I do know that fund. That's the Avantis Small Cap Value Fund, have a turnover percentage of 8%. That means during the year they move they change it by 8%. They buy and sell stocks, come and go.
8% of the total value of the portfolio was traded during the course of that year. The whole year. The year. That's not a lot of turnover.
No, but index funds you would think would be lower. However, he points out VBR is a turnover percentage of 16%. Now, that did surprise me when I saw that. How impactful are turnover percentages for specific funds? I'd also love it if you guys could do a segment on how to understand funds at a deeper level based on Morningstar provisions. Don't have time for that right now, Luke.
Ooh, that'd be a good idea. That'd be a good show.
Well, we kind of did that AVUV, DFAW.
No. But I mean, we just really go into Morningstar and how to read it, how to analyze. Oh, I think that sounds like fun. But how
impactful are turnover percentages for specific funds? Well, they can be pretty harmful.
Because they up your internal expenses.
Exactly. And they, higher turnover. You'll hear us talk about this on upcoming pod. More you're trading, oftentimes like soap, the less you're left with. So, but I don't think in this case any of those are really that high and should really be worried about. Remember, these are rules-based funds. It's not, nobody wakes up and says, let's buy Tesla instead of Microsoft. That doesn't happen. They have rules, and when the rules call for somebody to go in the portfolio or out of it or sell or whatever it is, they do that. I was surprised to see that VBR, which is the Vanguard Small Cap Index Fund, has a turnover, because I think if generally an index fund is going to be in the single digits, right? Like 3, 4, 5% for turnover.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The reason I think that's the case is because it's a small cap index. And a small cap index, because it has smaller companies, you're going to have a lot of companies moving out of the index. The really successful ones often very quickly move out of the index into mid cap or maybe even large cap. They change from value to growth. There's things that happen that make those changes. Wait a minute, which fund was this? Was this small cap value?
VBR. That's small cap value.
That's small cap value. Okay, I want to make sure. Yeah, so that makes sense. And what that tells me is that DFA's and Avantis's rules-based approach takes away, and they even say this, that just because a stock moves out of the small cap category doesn't mean they're going to sell it exactly at the same time the indexes do.
They don't have those tight.
They're not required to do that, which I think is another small incremental benefit. Mm-hmm. And that's when we talk about Avantis and DFW, these factor rule-based funds. What we're talking about is these tiny little incremental benefits to not actively manage, like guessing the market or totally rigidly indexing. They give you a little bit of a fraction of a percent here and a fraction of a percent there, and pretty soon, what are you talking?
Real money. And you, by the way, you want to learn more, you can go back and listen to a recent podcast we did where we dissected Dimensional, Avantis, and Vanguard to an extent, because we looked at a fund from each one of them. So it's a great question. I think in this case, no, these are all fine. The turnover is not that high. There are funds that have turnovers in the hundreds, right? That turn over the entire portfolio. They're buying and selling and buying and selling. So you don't want to own those. And my point about the whole picture, too, was from a tax standpoint, it could be impactful as well.
Now, back in 1992, a young writer for the Wall Street Journal contacted a young financial talk show host for Business Radio Network and said, would you take a look at a book I'm writing? His first book, it was called Funding Your Future, the Only Guide to Mutual Funds You'll Ever Need. Would you write a liner note for my book after reading it? And I said, sure. I mean, perfect topic. So I had him on the show, read the book, wrote a liner note, and if you go find Funding Your Future now, you'll still see there's a Don McDonald liner note in there. And that author, that reporter for the Wall Street Journal, was a gentleman by the name of Jonathan Clements.
Yeah, and sadly, Jonathan passed away recently at the relatively young age of 62. He had written 1,000 personal finance columns for the Journal, and I think his passing deserves note for a couple reasons. First of all, 1992 is a long time ago to be talking about index funds. Now, there were some people talking about them, but not very many. And remember, most of the world was still active management funds where people thought indexing was, well, in some cases, I thought it was communist. So he was a trailblazer.
The Luthold group.
Exactly. Yeah, those commies are running things down at Vanguard. So, I mean, he was a trailblazer in many ways. I think that's a fair thing to say about him. The other couple things I think is remarkable in a very long career of writing for the Wall Street Journal. So you may not have heard of him if you don't read the Wall Street Journal, although he does have and I think it goes on, Humble Dollar, I think is a...
he does have associates who are still publishing the Humble Dollar.
You still could go there to read it. But the message has been pretty consistent and I think very practical over the years, both in terms of the fund selection and planning and all those. It's been the practical advice. And I'll also say, in terms of his legacy, I think courage. This is a guy that found out a year ago that he was dying from a very rare type of lung cancer, and he wrote about it. But he also wrote about the financial things he was doing to make sure things are going to be easier on his family, make sure they're going to be clear. I love that because oftentimes we sadly see people that die and they haven't done this, and it can create such a mess. And it's at a time when people are already grieving. They're emotionally a mess, and then you throw the money on top. It's bad. And he very publicly talked about all the things he's doing, so he sort of bravely faced the end. And again, what I consider, because it's far younger than me, young age. So Jonathan Clements, thank you for all your work, and my sincere condolences to your family as well.
Wow, yeah. He was one of, truly, it's just a relative handful of good people in the financial press. Really good people. There aren't a lot of them. Most of them sadly,
yeah.
And there should be. It should be the majority, but it's not because there's too much money to be made not being among the best.
Yeah, and by the way, you can read more about his life and legacy written by a guy that we think has taken that mantle nicely, a guy by the name of Jason Zweig. So you can read Jason's fine work, too.
It's interesting, though, how young he actually was when he wrote Funding Your Future, because he's 7 years young. He died he's 7 years younger. It was 7 years younger than me. Yeah. And I was young when I was on BRN.
Yeah, right.
So what was he, in his 20s?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Young guy. So he got it right for a long time.
He did, too.
Good for you.
Well, thank you all for being a part of our little special Q&A episode of Talking Real Money. The odds are good you're going to hear more of these. Real good. Because, my goodness, if you listen to the Friday podcast, I was whiny a couple of weeks ago about how I wasn't.
Not for the first time, by the way. So
shh, be nice.
Well, I've been kind of whiny on a personal level for a couple of weeks.
But I wasn't going to bring that up.
I know. Well,
I wasn't going to bring it up. I wasn't going to.
I'll be honest with people. This has not been an easy time for me on a personal / emotional. Last few weeks have been tough. So yeah, I apologize if and you called it out. You called me out. You said you've been a little weird on the show. So weirder than normal. So
you were weird on the Saturday show.
I know. So I'm going to try to
so straight
more down the middle. So thank you, by the way, those people, by the way, who've been supportive. There's been people who's actually come to the office to support. It's crazy how people reach out to you. So thank you for all that. And everything's okay, by the way.
Yes, I guess people like you.
I guess so.
You like me.
Exactly.
But what I was going to say is you sort of went over and above what I was hoping for. I just wanted a few more spoken questions at talkingrealmoney.com, and I think I had 4 last week when I did the Q&A. Now I have 20.
Wow. Good for you.
So
riches.
We're going to do some long Q&A episodes on Fridays here. So
good.
Look forward to those.
I love them, and my grandsons love them. A Friday without Don McDonald's like a day without Grandpa.
Okay. How old are your grandsons?
They are now 8 and 7, and they've been listening for many years.
They enjoy listening to a financial Q&A show.
When they get in the car, they say, "What happened to McDonald? Where is he today?" So, yeah,
really,
it's sad. Yeah,
is it because you like taunt me on the radio, you go, what an idiot. I can't believe he said that. Yeah.
No, we're very complimentary. Okay. I make them, write a report after the questions every week and hand it in. So
a little schoolwork. All right, everybody, go to talkingrealmoney.com, send in your questions, or call us on Saturdays at 855-935-TALK, because we want to help you. That's why we are here 6 days a week, pretty much, talking real money.
The opinions and views expressed in this podcast were current on the date recorded. Opinions, estimates, forecasts, and statements of financial market trends that are based on current market conditions constitute our judgment and are subject to change without notice, including any forward-looking estimates or statements which are based on certain expectations and assumptions.
Although information and opinions given have been obtained from or based on sources believed to be reliable, no warranty or representation is made as to their correctness, completeness, or accuracy.
Information presented on the podcast is not personalized investment advice from Appella Wealth. The views and strategies described may not be suitable for everyone. This podcast does not identify all the risks, direct or indirect, or other considerations which might be material to you when entering any financial transaction. Past performance does not guarantee future results, and profitable results cannot be guaranteed. We hope you realize that the information provided on Talking Real Money is for informational, educational, and hopefully enjoyable purposes only. The podcast is not trying to get you to buy or sell any financial products or securities. Instead, the program is provided as a public service by Appella Wealth, a fee-only registered investment advisor.
Please see Appella Wealth's ADV Part 2A on our website for information regarding Appella's fees and services.
Appella Capital, LLC, DBA Appella Wealth, is an investment advisory firm registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission. The firm only transacts business in the states where it is properly registered or excluded or exempt from registration requirements. Registration with the SEC or any state securities authority does not imply a certain level of skill or training. Appella does not provide tax or legal advice, and nothing either stated or implied here should be inferred as providing such advice. Thanks for listening, and please visit TalkingRealMoney.com for more information and important disclosure related to performance of any specific index or fund quoted in this podcast. I think I need a nap.